Hey, hey everybody. Yeah, this is Robin. Of course, some of you know me as RK Stud. I'm always going by that. Uh, Happy New Year. I hope your New Year's been blessed. Uh, I'm just dipping my feet back in because finally, after weeks, I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow, but I want to do the first. I want to do the Robservation and get that out of the way, so then that way tomorrow we can get back to, the Portland wrestling and an episode of the Shadow radio program and the other stuff that I do for my Facebook page, which right now is TNA Wrestling from 2005 and some science fiction cartoon. I can't recall it right now. Anyway, as some of you know, but I'll refresh because this is a Robservation. This is me talking. This is my blog, thoughts and opinions and everything like that. So, we'll refresh. Some of you may know, in September, I was mowing the yard. After I got done mowing, no, I didn't injure myself with the mower. What it was, since I'm diabetic and an amputee, I don't have any of my toes on my right foot. And that whole curved area was raised up on the inside of a shoe because my doctor's got me on a special cushion. Well, it rubbed up and then there was just a big old hole like this. That opened up. Thank God it was just superficial, but we spent weeks of wound care with it. My foot doctor and I, wound care. And then my old insurance did not allow him to do skin grafts. But in the meantime, I had found an insurance. It started sooner than what I thought, and they went ahead and approved skin grafts. So from middle October to December, we had 7 or 8 skin grafts, I believe, with a couple weeks in for breaks and for a vascular test 1 week that he wanted to check to make sure everything was all right in my legs, which they are. So with all that, December 23rd, right before Christmas, it had finally healed up. And in the meantime, he had me wear a special shoe, which was just, I wore it almost 24/7. I wore it to bed. I wore it outside. I wore it in the house. The only time it came off was when I was changing my clothes because I couldn't shower. Talk about washing up. I'll get there to explain it. So before Christmas, it was healed. And I didn't want to take any more precautions, so that's why I had taken a long break from showing and doing all that because I had really wanted it to heal. Thank God it did. But like I said, December 23rd, before Christmas, it was healed up. So then I decided to take a week or two because just to double check to make sure nothing was going to break. Everything. It all came out pretty good. So I was ready to go. Last week was getting everything back around, and we got the bad news. If you've seen my posts, my father passed away. He'd been sick for a little while. It started after my nephew's birthday last year in March. And for the majority, he was in the hospital and rehab facilities, nursing homes, that type of stuff. Finally, in November, he came home for a little bit. sister had asked me to come and watch him for a couple times a week, which my dad, yeah, I was going to. Then he went back into the hospital and he came back home. It was like, okay, I'll wait on my sister to call me when to start going back and staying over and watching him. Nothing came of it, and I should have checked on it. It's my fault. And as I admitted to my sister last week, I apologize for not being over there as much because I was afraid. I mean, how can you... For me, growing up and seeing Dad, this big, strong, voracious, loud person, how could you go from that to being to his condition? And I couldn't handle it. I was scared. I'll admit that the breathing machines and all that just tore me up. But along the way, years and years and years of my dad and I just butting heads, and there were times I wanted to I told God I'd just give up, but he would never let me give up. Totally. And then he gave me the answer one day, finally. He said, look at how you are and look at how your dad is. You guys are just alike. So then I had to come to grips with, I'm just like my father. Mannerisms and the way we are, that's why we butted heads. That's why at times it was a little bit hard. Excuse me. But I've learned to accept it and realize, that wasn't so bad. I had to be like someone. God made me like my dad. And then in turn, hearing stories this past week, of Dad being like Grandpa, and I'm like Dad, so that makes me like Grandpa, makes it even kind of in a lineage kind of way, you know what I mean? So, excuse me. So in a way, that kind of, we all have our own ways we do things. Grandpa and Dad sat at the exact same spot at the kitchen table. They would both have radios on. They would both be reading papers from there. Little things like that. Things that they would do, their routines. That's the word I'm looking for, routines. And I have my routines too, which is kind of cool. But anyway, Monday morning around 7, I got up. I saw my phone, and it was a text from my sister. She said, call me as soon as you get up. 5:53 a.m. I'm like, all right. Her dad went back into the hospital. They had to rush him, something. No, she laid it all down. I'm not going to go into it because it's long and everything. Then that day I was going to go see my foot doctor. So I just told her, well, after the foot doctor, I'll come up and, we'll do what we need to do. Which we did. Her and our aunt and I met at the funeral home. Thank God that Dad had everything already planned and prepared and how he wanted things done. There's just a few things we needed to do. Like what did we want for the luncheon? What did we want his urn to be like? And which we decided it was going to be Detroit Lion blue. And the blue didn't exactly come out in the little book that they showed you. But Friday for the service, it was so good. It was that Detroit Lion blue just came out. So we did that. Let's see. Our older cousins came over to what is Dad's house, which when things are settled, they're going to be my sister's house, which is fine. No big deal. I'm not worried about that. As Dad said last year, everything else is 50-50. There's no need to fight. Me and Casey are we're keeping that good too. But our cousins Brian and Slim came over and check on us, and we had to, Casey told them what Dad had wanted them to do for the luncheon. Get the keg and the drinks going. And I had mentioned, I said, I can't drink Kessler's because Kessler's is a shot drink for the family. I'm not much of a drinker anyway to begin with. But I did say, if you guys get me a little bottle of Fireball, I said, I'll do one because it's Dad. I didn't think they heard me, but they heard me. So I had my own thing. We'll get to that later. And Tuesday we went through all the pictures. Yeah. Our aunt came back along with a couple more of our cousins. So we're going through pictures, looking for pictures of Dad to give to the funeral home, for the little videos at the funeral home. And Dad, you did it. You knew I wasn't feeling too good, but you made me have a good laugh anyway as we were going through pictures. My sister found one, a little wallet-sized thing that had some pictures, and there's a couple pictures from Dad and my mom's wedding. Because my sister and I, we have different moms, which is fine. That's no big deal. But the thing is, before, Mom had always told me that Dad had nice, long, flowing blonde hair. Kind of, you notice. And I had never, ever seen a picture of him with long hair. He's always had it short. So there was 2 pictures of Dad with long blonde hair, and if I needed to laugh the last week, it's my go-to. Just too hilarious. He looks like a 70s rock band member. So that came Wednesday, and I had also talked to my sister Tuesday. I said, would you mind if I spoke at Dad's service? And she had said, keep it short. And I had promised, that's what Dad would want. You know what Dad would say, and we both said keep it short. So Wednesday, I wrote most of it, but I couldn't figure out a finish. So I kind of got a little stuck there. It ended up being 3 pages long, where I just went, I knew what I wanted to say based on how I knew Thursday was going to go. Thursday was going to be the 2 showings for Dad. Friday was going to be the service. So I had immediately knew that I wanted to thank everyone for coming and, you know, sharing stories of their stories and memories of Dad. So opened up with that, and then there were other things I was going to say. Then I was going to get into my thank yous and I had specific thank yous. But we'll get to them here in a minute. And then, was it Thursday night? It was either Thursday afternoon or Thursday. No, it was Thursday morning. I finally finished it. But I still, after I wrote it, I still thought it was flat. It just, something just didn't fit right with me. So then we had the showings, and Pastor Nick, I think that was his name. He had stopped by the first one, and I had it on me and let him read it. And I said, "What do you think?" And he said, "That looks good." He said, "I think you're going to be going longer than me." He said, "Your sister said to keep it short." We're going with the theme here, all right, people? And so Friday morning comes along. I'm up and I'm around, and on the way to the service, I read it back again. I read the whole thing, my whole speech for Dad, and along the curves of 600 in our area, it just came this, make it shorter. Yeah, Dad. Got it. Make it shorter. So we're going through the service. Pastor gets up there. He's a little bit longer than what I thought. And of course, during the visitation and the service, before the service, I got a lot of people, "You look just like your dad. You two look so alike." It's like, yes. I know. One guy brought his wife up, and he was like, look at the pictures. Now look at this. See, I told you he looked just like him. So you can't help but just I got a kick out of it, you know. So then, like I said, service came up. Dad was a member of the local Eagles, so they did an Eagle service. And then the members come up, and one or two of them, I can't remember, just, you know, shook my hand and said, "Sorry for your loss. You look just like him." Which you couldn't help but laugh. Pastor went on, did his thing. Of course, we had our songs that we had picked out. I got up there. I had pulled my speech out. I didn't need it. I did not need it. So I just went through everything. I opened up with what I was opened up. Then I went into, thank you, Dad, for naming me after Uncle Lynn. Uncle Lynn was a Marine in Vietnam. He was there, I think, maybe 9 days, and then was killed in action. But Uncle Lynn's middle name is my name. So Dad gave that to me after I was born several years later as a tribute. I couldn't be more proud and happier and patriotic. Thank him for that. And then I had condensed all of my thank yous down. You know, like I thanked Dad for taking me to all the sporting events we went to. I thanked him for the movies that we ended up going to when we went, you know, to hang out, and he took me to malls and stuff. When I was little, I thanked him for, you know, giving me my sister. And I proceeded to thank her for trying to make Dad's last days as calm and peaceful and stress-free as she could make them. And then came the end in which, I said my goodbyes. We'll miss you. I'll miss you, Dad. Love you. You're up there with Grandma and Grandpa and all the uncles, and I said all the Kretzer boys are back together, raising the bus up there. And Grandma and Grandpa are yelling at them, but at the same time, just having a ball. And they had the best seats in the house for every sporting event. Now, with that being said, what I didn't say was Dad took me to my first pro game, which was 84 Tigers-Yankees at the old Tiger Stadium. Tigers won. Dad took me to Toledo Rockets basketball games, high school sporting events, all that good stuff. And then I had wrote to some of the movies that Dad took me to see that I could remember. Like we went to The Rescuers, which had shown Mickey's Christmas Carol. We went to Sleeping Beauty. I know we went to The Last Starfighter. And he took me to numerous others that I couldn't remember, but those three are ingrained because those are some of the... Those three are some of the things that are in my movie collection. I didn't think about how... You don't think about how much a parent has ingrained in you. Your memories are connected to someone until then, and thanked them for the birthday presents and Christmas presents and baseball card sets. The one year that he bought me, we went to the mall, he gave me a set amount, and it didn't matter. I bought a whole bunch of Batman trades that were on because it was all Batmania, but I was already crazy about Batman anyway before that because, hey, I'm Robin. And also I didn't say that, one of the things I learned from Dad is just to have fun in life. Like he showed me to have fun in life. No matter where you were at with, whether it was hanging with friends or no matter what, Dad always had fun talking, joking around, doing all that. Which went into me for like showing dogs and the YouTube stuff that prior to Robservations years ago, going to the comic book conventions and interviewing people, doing all this stuff. Have fun. And I was going to mention that even at karaoke, when the one year I was straight sober, singing Foreigner's Hot Blooded, and in the middle, the DJ de-pants me, so I was just in my underwear singing it the rest of the way through. To me, that's one of my highlights in life, is just that, plus my short-lived wrestling career. So we got through that. We did Dad's gravesite service, which wasn't too long because it was cold. Did the luncheon. Everybody grabbed food. I went to talk to some of my cousins that they didn't come up the night before because they couldn't, so they came up Friday morning. And my cousin Brian said, "Hey, your Fireball's in the freezer." I'm like, okay. So I grabbed it, got my plate of food, and we were waiting for everyone to sit down and get their plate of food. Then we all toasted Dad. Had a good time talking with the pastor before he finished up eating and ate. He was kind of impressed with my speech, my sermon, my little eulogy, my thank you, Daddy, whatever you want to call it. And he just said, where'd you learn to do that? And I'm like, what? YouTube? And he said, he did very good. He said, was that your... You didn't even read off your thing. I said, I know. I said, we were going through the curves. Dad said, make it shorter while I was reading it. And I said, it just free flowed right up there. And during the lunch, and other people came up to me, and they were, that was really good what you did. How'd you do that? So, like, well, I managed to do it because of YouTube. Cause I said, only with YouTube, I'm just in front of a camera. I'm not in front of everybody. So, did that. And then, with as much as the weekend went on, I was just drained. So, Mom and I were getting ready to go and went to say goodbye to my sister and nephew and my sister's sister and her mom, because they both came in. And when my cousin said, you're leaving? Oh, we need to get a picture. So, before leaving, the rest of the Kratzer clan, we had to take our pictures together. Which is an event in itself. So first it was us, and then, we had to pull our aunts in, and our cousin Kim that came in from Missouri that, Monday, my sister and I, we pretty much had decided that Kimmy was coming in. Dad wanted her to, so we used Dad's credit card to get Kimmy a flight in so we can have Kimmy's a trip. Which gets me to this, because this is getting a little long. So I had besides the swig of Fireball at Dad's luncheon, I had the rest of the bottle to take home. And this is where I did some more shots over the weekend, here and there, and then I made sure to have a toast Saturday night for the Lions game for Dad, which I was rooting and hoping that the Lions would win, and hopefully they'd win the Super Bowl, but they ended up looking like Lions of old, or even the current Cleveland Browns. So that was a big strike, but I wanted to share with everyone that I was doing shots for Dad, so he could be toasted and know that I was doing it for him. It didn't touch the bottle till Monday for the Ohio State game. Dad's also an Ohio State fan, and I'm also an Ohio State fan. As is the Kratzer clan, we're all Ohio State fans. So I did one before the game, and then the Buckeyes were winning and leading, and during the game, I was like, if they win, I've got to do something, crazy. I got to think of something to do. It wasn't the alcohol that did it to me either, because the whole bottle, I hadn't used it to get drunk, and, some people do tend to drink after a loved one dies. So they ended up winning. I went outside in this cold Ohio weather, no shirt on, and decided I was just going to do just a victory shot just for Facebook. And then I decided to do one for YouTube too, because it's like, I'm right here. Honor Dad. That's what they both were. So Did that. Still fine. And today I got getting ready to text cousin Kim because she's getting ready to leave, go back home. And she sent one. She was concerned with me drinking the bottle, and so I had to. All right, I had to take a step back and realize, yeah, that looks damaging, but I know in a way it was my way to toast and remember Dad. I still have a little bit left. When I'll finish that, I don't know. But it was all for them. I'll be honest with you guys. I did not get drunk on anything this past week. I'm not one to do that. I'm one of these, I can't have fun without keep staying in control. I mean, I've I've been drunk before, don't get me wrong. So I try to shy away from that and try to just have fun without having, liquid courage or any substances in my body where I can have fun without them. So thank you everyone for your prayers and everything. Everything's fine. Tomorrow we will go and get right back on the board right where we left off on everything. So see you later. See you tomorrow.